So chaos is running amok in the finance and stock market industries. So I wanted to shoot a quick video because yesterday, when the stock market had rebounded a little bit, of course, this is after a week of record lows on Thursday and Friday versus money coming back. And then the stock market went up and then it went down. And then we had a huge recovery and now it's going down again. And so because of that, I had a lot of my younger friends, younger clients, people reaching out to me and asking me all kinds of questions, all kinds of major concerns. And, some of these headlines, and I wanted to read you some of these headlines about market news, April 9th, 2025, Dow jumps 3,000 points and NASDAQ soars 12%. Just days after we talked about on Thursday and Friday of the week before, the stock market had gone down and in America, they lost $6-ish trillion. And so people are getting a little ahead of themselves and a little panicky. But for example, I had some questions that people texted me or reached out and called me yesterday. I want to read it to you. It said, "Hi, Brian, I'm not spiraling or anything, but please tell me my 401k is going to be okay. And I haven't looked, but I'm a little stressed out." Now, this is coming from someone who is in their early 30s that at the time doesn't have six figures in a 401k. So the numbers could not have moved that much. And also their time horizon is 30 years plus before they ever need this money. We were having this conversation the other day with my daughter, who's 23, about to be 24, fully funded her Roth IRA last year, and this year already funded it because she had a good year financially last year. And I told her, I said, you know what we want to do with the stock market thing going on at all? It's not pay attention at all. Just keep doing your dollar cost averaging. Just keep putting your money in there and just know 40 years down the road for her, that number is going to go up and to the right. And over time, she's going to make more money. But it was crazy to see what was going on and the concerns and questions that I got. Another question I got from someone right now, because I had posted about the stock market on my social media, was, what is the most aggressive stock you're liking right now? And again, this was from an early 30-year-old person. And I told him, I said, honestly, I personally don't own an individual stock. I do your tried and true old school method. Some people might say I'm too conservative. But I literally am in index funds. I have ETFs. I have bonds. I have some cash and some high yield savings account. I own residential real estate, commercial real estate, and I kind of stick to those kind of methods. I don't know enough about some of these other investments, whether it's crypto or trying to get real aggressive with an individual stock, because he asked me, he goes, I want to invest in something that you feel is way down. Well, that's like trying to figure out with the stock market right now. Timing the market is a very difficult thing. You can pull up all kinds of stats and information about if you miss the top 10 growth days in the stock market over a 30-year cycle, you almost eat up all of your long-term growth and potential there. And so, I always tell people, you have to take the emotions and the craziness that's going on in the world right now out of it. We don't know what our president is going to say on a regular basis. So whether it's tariffs or no tariffs, or they're happening immediately, or what the percentages are going to be, or as of when I recorded this one, now we just put things on a 90-day hold, except for China. And China's numbers are going to, have gone now to 125%. You're seeing numbers and things all over the board. But when I start looking at my notes, and I always tell people, you got to get your mind right. You got to get your thoughtfulness right. And it's different if you're someone who's older. I had a conversation with my stepmother who's in her 80s. And I asked her about all this and said, how does your portfolio look? And when I had talked to her before the big recovery of a day ago that we may give back today, who knows, she was only down 1% or 2%. But again, this is a woman who is in her early 80s who should not be investing overly aggressively versus someone in their 20s and 30s who has that longer time horizon that can make up for those kind of things. So again, what your feelings are, if you're worried, if you're concerned, those are all legit feelings. But at the same time, you shouldn't be worrying about and paying attention to this stuff, especially if your time horizon is so far. So for example, here's a quote I got from someone. And again, this is a person who, not to talk badly about them, but does not own a primary residence, is a renter, who also does not have a lot of net worth built up. And what he said was, I know it's a bear market right now. And if you have cash, should I put it into some aggressive stocks that are low right now? And it's so crazy because I listen to a bunch of podcasts with some financial people and they can't even predict. The one stock that he does own is Tesla. And a Scott Galloway, who I love to listen to, was talking about Tesla stock just the other day about how he feels it's super overvalued. It is traded at crazy levels. I've seen people make lots of money. You're starting to see that thing come back. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions about Elon Musk and whether he's going to stay part of Doge and the government or not. And you're just seeing all this, media hype. Again, stock market ended. Like I got quotes on my computer screen right here that are good, bad, and different all over the place. When I told him that I don't invest in individual stocks and that I do index funds, he basically said, oh, so you're basically just doing safe things. Well, over the long haul, safe things are going to win for me. And I'd rather just play that long, slow, steady, safe game and not worry about all this craziness that's going on. And even with my accounts, I've seen balances jumping all over the place, more because I was curious about how it was affecting me, not that I need any of that money anytime soon either. And so, he went from there. And when you're seeing the stock market go crazy, and people know I'm a real estate agent, they start asking me about rental property. Well, again, here's a person who doesn't own a house, doesn't own any rental property. We've been talking for a few years about this. And he started asking questions about creating passive income, but is also worried about using up his cash because then he won't have a safety net or an emergency fund. And then he started talking about potentially house flipping. And like I said, I have notes here. It was crazy. And then the last one that he had mentioned to me was, do rental properties cut into my profits? And I didn't even know what he was asking about. I tried to call him yesterday. We were going to try to talk on the phone. We'll probably catch up sometime later today. And it says, what margins do you make on your rental properties? So people are going all over the place. They're all over the board with what's going on out in the economy. And here's what I would tell people. This is when I want to hold your face, talk to you on a one-on-one basis and say to you, especially young people, if these are not money and funds that you need anytime soon, just stay the course. Do your dollar cost averaging. Every time you get paid, keep putting money in the stock market. If you've got big lumps of cash right now in emergency funds, don't go taking all your money and piloting in there because you think everything is a great deal. If you go look where we were at the low point in the last 7, 10, 14 days, and go look where we were 3, 5, 7 years ago, things might be cheaper than they were a year ago, but they are not cheap, especially things in the US stock market. They are not cheap. You look at those 7 big tech companies. He's got Tesla as one of his investments, and go look where those were 6, 8 years ago before COVID, before these numbers went crazy up and up and up. So it's not like you're out here buying at massive bargains. Just stay the course, do the right things, and you're going to win at money and finance. And again, go back to basics. If you're someone that doesn't have an emergency fund or doesn't have a savings account or doesn't own a primary residence and is a long-term renter, again, it's always on a case-by-case basis. But I think what happens is the news, and again, the articles are crazy right now. They want to sensationalize things. And I really do think, at least for now that we're putting these off, the tariffs off for 90 days, it's just going to be a bumpy ride. Every lender I know, a few days ago, because the stock market was falling, which means the 10-year treasury yield was going down, which then that sort of directly affects interest rates on real estate. So people got excited, oh, maybe rates are going to go down and I could buy, investment property or buy a primary residence. Then a few days later, everything just flip-flops and goes right back to what it was before. So it can be very confusing out there right now. Here's what I would tell you. Just put your head down. Go to work. Don't watch the stories. Don't worry about what our president might say one way or another that is going to affect the stock market. And what drives me crazy about that is what they're saying doesn't even or hasn't even affected what these companies' business models may look like yet. There are so many unknowns about what's going on out there right now. It's again, put your head down, try to figure out a way to make more money, stay within your budget. Just do all the fundamental basic things and opportunity will come. And when opportunity comes, then you'll be ready for it. But again, don't try to time the market, be a day trader. I'm sure there were people in the last week because, people in those situations love volatility in the market. And Lord knows in the last 7 days, we've had massive amounts of volatility. I'm going to assume over the next 90 days, while we figure out what this whole tariff thing is going to be, you're going to see more massive volatility. And long-term, what we don't want is massive volatility. We want steady, consistent, long-term thought processes, whether it is on your real estate, whether it is on your stocks, whether it's on your retirement accounts, whether it's on your non-retirement accounts. So just don't get caught up in the hype of everything that's going on right now. It can be difficult and challenging. And it's funny for even someone like myself who doesn't pay attention to it. I started to watch a little bit more this week, more just because I want to be able to bring good information to you and understand exactly why these things are fluctuating so greatly. Because again, I've always been one of those that plays this long-term, slow, steady game. And again, my time horizon is still plenty far out there. So again, if my accounts and my balances jump around in the short term, I'm not going to worry about them too much. And the other thing is I have a fantastic financial advisor who I actually talk to, is my best friend. So I get to talk to him more than most. And I was asking, what his thoughts on this were. And, he's done a few things, tweaked the accounts because he kind of felt like some of this might be coming. But again, even someone like himself, what you're trying to do is mitigate some of your risks, be smart about what you're doing, but at the same time, don't get crazy and try to time this thing and think, oh, I'm going to get rich right now. Just stay the course. There'll be opportunity. So if you have questions, DM me, reach out to me. It is super early. It's not even light out. So I couldn't sleep last night because I was really wanting to make sure we brought you some really good information. And again, just try your best to pull the emotions out. Like I said, I took lots of notes. I have a lot of information here. And I just want you to know that you will win if we start off and just continue to do those basic fundamental things and do them for a long time. All right. Thanks for watching. Check out this video we did right here if you're liking the content we're putting out there. And hopefully we'll see you again very soon.